What is up, guys? Welcome back. I'm going to be talking about the time I broke my leg, and yeah, so this is a very interesting story. Well, it started off, I was going to skate in Green Bay for the weekend, and we live in Wisconsin, and Green Bay is about like 3 hours from us. I went down to Green Bay and I was going to skate there for like 3.5 weeks to work with some different coaches, and yeah, I was pretty excited because I've been getting good on my jumps at this point, and I was hoping to get some of my doubles like down. If you're not a skater, you won't really understand what I'm talking about. So anyway, the first few lessons, they went very good. I had a great time. My dad and I were camping there, so it was all fun, and I was really excited. So I think it was the third night I was there. It was a very busy ice. There was like 20 people on the ice. I mean, probably less than that, but it was a lot more than I'm used to. I decided to jump kind of like on the line at the end. So the rink is like this, okay? And this end, there's like a line. Then there's a line here, and at the end, and then a circle in the middle. I was on this end, right here, farthest from the door, and I decided to start working on my double flip because I've been doing that in my lesson, and I was like, why not? I was doing that, and I kind of went into it really slow, and I landed quite a few of them. I was pretty excited. I was just jumping a lot that day, and sometimes that's not a good thing to do. Well, when I took off from the jump, on the flip, it's a toe jump, so that means that I had to put in my toe pick, and my toe pick, when I went to lift off the air, my foot got stuck in the ice. So basically what happened is I started to like rotate, but I was still on the ground. So as you can see, my body is rotating and my leg is still on the ground. That is where some issues are going to happen. Immediately I fell down. I knew something wasn't right. My leg felt numb, and I was like, well, that's not good, because that's what it felt like when I broke my arm. And I was scared, but I decided that if I just pretended like nothing was wrong, that nothing would be wrong. So I just skated off, and I was like, I'm just going to let it rest. But I was so dumb. I was on the opposite end of the door to get off the rink, and I skated off. Nobody came to help me. I was just limping off the ice, holding onto the wall like I was a beginner or something, and nobody even noticed. Like, okay. So I got off the ice finally. It was very painful to walk, and I just knew at that point that something was not okay. I went and I tried to take off my skates. I was preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. I thought that the pain I was in at that moment, I thought that my bone was literally going to be sticking through my skin, because that's what it felt like, and I was terrified because I did not want to see that if that's what was actually happening. So I was scared. I was like breathing. I was like, I did not want to, and I was holding back tears because I wasn't even crying at this point. I don't know. I don't like crying in public. So then I take it off, and I just remember sitting there, and yeah, I could not move it. It was numb. Like, you know when your leg falls asleep, you just can't move? That's what it felt like. I looked for my dad, and he had gone out to the car, so he wasn't here. I was like, oh no, I am done for. He finally comes back, and he's like, why aren't you skating? Like, I never get off the ice during my schedule, so he's like, what's wrong? I told him what happened, basically. And then I was like very hard holding back tears at that point. And what made this situation worse is my grandma decided to call, and my dad had set my grandma's ringtone as like a disaster alarm, and I was like, wow, that really helps the situation, Dad. Thank you. Then we got these 2 other skating moms to help us, and they decided that they could help they actually carried me out to the car when my dad pulled up the van. And all I remember is I got in the car, and I was just crying of pain at that point. I was like screaming. Every single bump that we went over was the worst pain you can imagine. When they ask you what your pain is, I was a good 8. I wouldn't say 10 because no, I was not dying, but I was a good 8.5, 9. It was bad. So we drove down and we found the ER in Green Bay. There was nobody there, so I got in right away, thank goodness. I'm so grateful for that because sometimes the ER can take hours. So I got in and they did an x-ray on me and they told me that I had a sprain. Like, no. No, I do not just have a sprain. But at that point, I wanted to believe that. I wanted to believe that the only thing that was wrong with me was a sprain. They said, there might be something more, but we're pretty sure it's just a sprain. We'll wrap it for you and you can go home. They gave me one Vicodin pill and a flimsy wrap on my leg. We packed up our camp that night. My poor dad had to pack everything up in the dark. We left and it was 3 hours home and it was torture, absolute torture. So I got home and my mom was there and I had to cut my pants off. I told my mom that it's not gonna work, I did not want to go through that pain again, so I had her cut off my pants, which were my favorite skating pants, but actually somebody ended up sewing them back up for me later, so that was nice. But yeah, I did not really care at that point. I was just crying, and I went to sleep on the couch in my living room. I woke up that morning, and many times in the night, and I remember waking up and slamming my leg into the couch, which sounds stupid, but I slammed it into the couch, like, on the footrest. I was, like, hitting it like that, and that caused me so much pain. I don't even know what I was doing. I just wanted to wake up because I felt like this was a nightmare. I ended up going back to the normal doctor because originally I just wanted more pain medicine because I was so bad, but then they immediately rushed me back into x-ray because they said that this was probably not a sprain. So I got my x-ray and basically they told me that I had a broken tibia. They pulled it up on the TV in the room. There's like a TV that shows the x-ray. They pulled it up and my bone was broken off of my tibia right by my ankle and it had like gone somewhere else. They told me I would need surgery. And this is the point that I started freaking out. Right in the doctor's room, I lost it. I started crying. I don't know. The thought of surgery terrified me. I just did not want to do it, and it was kind of embarrassing, but at that point I didn't care. I remember they put on a splint for me, and when they put on the splint, it was terrible. Like, the most pain. They're yelling at me, like, straighten your leg, it's gonna hurt. Like, they weren't yelling at me, but it felt like it, and yeah, it was scary. So fast forward like 3 weeks. It took them a week to get me into surgery, which doesn't sound like a long time, but it was pain. I could feel my bones rubbing together. That is something you never want to experience, let me tell you. So I went to surgery that week. It was like sometime in June. I remember freaking out, so they gave me like anxiety medicine through my IV, and that like shut me down. I have pictures where I'm just like sitting there knocked out. The last thing I remember is them rolling me into the surgery room and the doctor coming up to me and saying that they are putting a mask on me and that is my oxygen. And they put it on me and I start to cough. I pull off the mask and the last thing I see is them running out at me and going, "No." That is what I saw. No. That's kind of scary, but that's what I remember, and I find it kind of funny. So I wake up from surgery, it was a 2.5 hour surgery, something like that. And I had been asleep for like 3 hours. I woke up and the nurse was like, well, I started to wake up and I thought I was still in surgery, so I went back to bed, so that was funny. But when I woke up, the nurse asked me if I wanted anything, and I said, "Water, please." She came back and she gave me ice. I spit out the ice. I did that. I spit it out and I was like, "No, I want water." And I sound rude, but I was like high from the medicine. Eventually, she told me that I couldn't have water for obvious reasons. So yeah, that was basically my surgery. This whole process was like the whole time I had my broken leg, this whole thing was about a good 4 months of actual time healing. Like, I had a broken leg for like 2.5 months. I could not walk at all. And then for like 3 months probably, I was in physical therapy, and my skating has just now, like, gotten back to where it was. Like, this summer is when it got back. I'm so thankful, though, for all of my friends who helped me get through it. I know it doesn't sound like a big deal, but it really, like, put a mental strain on me because it was during the summer and I wasn't able to do anything. And the fact that all my friends were there to help me and support me, and another one of my friends, he had actually gone through, like, the same thing at the time, and he sent me the nicest message, and I would cry after everything anyone had sent me, but I'm just so thankful, and I really do think that this was a blessing in disguise because it helped me realize that I'm taking many things for granted, and even just walking, like, that is a privilege that I have that some people can't do. And I just feel like in this day and age we take things for granted too often, and that this was really an eye-opener for me, and it helped me realize that I really do have some pretty amazing people in my life who are here for me, and that's really cool to know. So that was my video for today. I hope you found it kind of interesting. I can go into more detail about, like, what my physical therapy was like and how the healing went, because that could be a whole nother story, but this video is already getting kind of long and I'm running out of storage, so thank you guys so much for watching and listening to me. If you liked it, please hit the subscribe button and look out for Leah's video tomorrow. I'll see you guys later. Bye.